Let's be honest, I used to be with money. The second my paycheck hit my account, it was like a countdown clock to zero. Saving felt totally impossible, like this chore I was just destined to fail at, month after month. I tried budgeting, I made spreadsheets, I'd tell myself this time will be different. But every single time, I'd end the month looking at my bank account with that same old feeling of disappointment. It was this vicious cycle of good intentions and the harsh reality that my willpower just wasn't cutting it. But what if I told you that last year, I managed to save over $10,000 without even trying? Without looking at a budget? Without ever having to say no to something I wanted just because I was trying to save? I know, it sounds like a gimmick, but it's not. In this video, I'm going to show you this simple, almost embarrassingly easy automation system I set up that builds my wealth for me while I sleep. I'm not a financial genius. I don't have some secret stock-picking skill. All I did was remove the single biggest point of failure in my financial life, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened step by step when I took myself out of the savings equation. Stick around, because this isn't just about saving money, it's about buying back your peace of mind. To really get how much this system changed my life, you have to see the before picture. And honestly, it's not pretty. For years, my entire financial strategy was basically hope for the best. I'd hope I'd have money left at the end of the month and pray that no surprise expenses popped up. My bank account was always on a roller coaster. I'd get my paycheck, feel rich for about 48 hours, and then the bills would start rolling in. Rent, utilities, car payment, insurance, groceries. A week later, I'd treat myself to a nice dinner or buy something online because, hey, I work hard, right? I deserve it. The real issue was I had no clue where my money was actually going. It was just one big, messy pile of cash. The money for rent was mixed in with my coffee money. The funds for my car insurance were sitting right next to the cash I might blow on a weekend trip. This created this constant, low-level hum of anxiety. Every purchase, no matter how small, came with a nagging question. Should I be spending this? Will I need this for something more important later? It was exhausting. My attempts to get good with money were a total comedy of errors. I downloaded budgeting apps that I'd use like a hawk for 3 weeks before completely forgetting they existed. I made these beautiful color-coded spreadsheets, spending hours getting them perfect, only to abandon them the second my real life didn't match my perfect little categories. And every time I failed, it felt personal. It felt like a character flaw. Why could everyone else figure this out, but I couldn't? The real breaking point came on a Tuesday. I remember it so clearly. I was driving to work, and my car started making this horrible clunking noise. That sound was the sound of my entire fragile financial world being laid bare. I took it to the mechanic, my stomach in knots, and he gave me the news: a $950 repair. $950. It might as well have been $1 million. I didn't have it. I had to put the whole thing on a high-interest credit card, and the feeling of defeat was just overwhelming. I'd been working for years, making a decent income, but I was still one bad day away from debt. I was stuck in the paycheck-to-paycheck trap, and I realized my approach wasn't just failing, it was actively hurting me. I was choosing to spend first and save whatever little scraps were left over, if there were any. That night, I sat down, not with another spreadsheet, but with a blank piece of paper, and I knew something fundamental had to change. My willpower wasn't the answer. My discipline wasn't the answer. I had to find a system that would work my flaws, not one that depended on me magically becoming a different person. My late-night rabbit hole started with the usual desperate Google searches. How to force yourself to save. How to be better with money. Why am I so bad at saving? But then I stumbled on a concept that changed everything. It wasn't some new budgeting trick, it was an engineering principle applied to personal finance: automation. Specifically, the idea of paying yourself first. Now, I'd heard the phrase pay yourself first a million times, but I always thought it was just some cheesy motivational poster slogan. I figured it was a mental trick, just of your savings as a bill. But what I discovered was that you can make it literal. You can treat your savings not just a bill, but as a real, automated, non-negotiable transaction that happens without you even touching it. The core idea that just clicked for me was this: the reason I kept failing was because I was always giving myself a choice. Every single day, I had to actively choose between saving and spending. And because spending gives you that instant hit of gratification, while saving is some far-off abstract goal, spending won 99% of the time. Our brains are literally wired for that. Trying to fight that impulse with sheer willpower is like trying to hold back the ocean. The aha moment was realizing I could just remove the choice. What if, the moment my paycheck landed, a set amount of money was automatically whisked away to a place where I couldn't easily spend it? What if the money for my savings goals never even got a chance to tempt me in my main checking account? Suddenly, it wasn't about being good or disciplined anymore. It would just be a system, a machine. The money would move on its own, just like my automated rent payment or my internet bill. This reframed everything. My failure wasn't a moral one, it was a strategic one. I was playing the game on the wrong difficulty setting. I was relying on my flawed human brain to make dozens of perfect financial decisions every week. Automation was the cheat code. It accepts that we're inconsistent and emotional and builds a structure around that fact. By automating, you make saving the default. Spending is what you do with what's left, not the other way around. That simple, profound shift in perspective was the turning point. I wasn't going to try to become a super disciplined budgeting ninja. I was going to become an architect. I was going to design a financial machine that would do all the heavy lifting for me. My only job was to build it right once, turn it on, and then let it run. My new goal wasn't to get better at saving, it was to make saving inevitable. Okay, this is the heart of it. This is the exact no-frill system I built. It's not complicated, and you don't need any fancy software, just your online banking portal. I call it the 3-bucket system, and it's all about separating your money with purpose automatically. Here's the big picture. The system works by setting up a few different bank accounts. I highly recommend using a totally separate bank for your savings. It adds a little bit of friction that makes you less likely to dip into it on impulse. We're going to create 3 main buckets for our money to flow into. Bucket 1, the operations account, your main checking account. Bucket 3, the freedom fund, your guilt-free spending money. Bucket 1 is your main checking account. Think of it as the command center for your life. Its only job is to pay your predictable, recurring bills. The first thing you have to do is figure out exactly how much money that requires each month. I sat down and listed out every single fixed expense. Rent/mortgage, utilities. I took a 3-month average for bills like electricity, internet bill, phone bill, car insurance, student loan minimum payments, credit card minimum payments, subscriptions, Netflix, Spotify, etc. I added it all up. Let's say, just as an example, that number was $1,800 a month. Then I added a small buffer, about 10%, for any slight changes. So my total cost of living number was about $2,000 per month. This is the amount that to be in my checking account to keep the lights on and everyone happy. Once I had that number, I went into my online banking and set up autopay for every single one of those bills from this checking account. This is key. Now my bills were being paid automatically, on time, every time, without me doing a thing. That alone zapped a huge amount of my financial stress. Step 2. Automate the growth engine. The magic of paying yourself first. This is where the magic really happens. Bucket 2, the growth engine, is where you build actual wealth. This bucket isn't just one account. It's a category that includes your emergency fund, retirement accounts, and other big savings goals. The key is to fund this bucket. You even have a chance to spend the money. I get paid on the 15th and the 30th of the month. So I went into my bank's website and set up 2 recurring automatic transfers. On the 16th and the 1st, the day my paycheck hits, a specific amount of money is automatically moved from my operations account, bucket 1, into my savings accounts, bucket 2. How much to transfer is up to you, but a great starting point is the 50-30-20 rule. It's a guideline that suggests putting 50% of your after-tax income toward needs, 30% toward wants, and 20% toward savings. If you take home $4,000 a month, that's $800 for savings. You can start smaller, even with 5% or 10%. Just start. Let's say I decided to save $600 per month. That meant setting up 2 automatic transfers of $300 each. So where does this money go? I split bucket 2 into 2 sub-buckets. Sub-bucket 2A. The emergency fund, your financial fire extinguisher. This is non-negotiable. You need a cushion of 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. I funneled the first chunk of my automated savings here until it was full. My goal was $10,000. The most important thing here is to put this money in a high-yield savings account, HYSA. Do not let your emergency fund rot in a traditional savings account earning 0.01% interest. As of late 2025, many FDIC-insured online banks are offering incredible rates, often in the 4.0% to 4.5% APY range. These rates are way higher than the national average and let your emergency fund actually grow on its own. I set up an auto transfer of $200 per paycheck into an HYSA at a separate online bank, so I'm not tempted to touch it. Sub-bucket 2B. The long-term wealth builder. Your future self's paycheck. Once your emergency fund is looking healthy, you can start aiming your automated savings at long-term growth. This is where you invest. The easiest way to automate this is through your job's retirement plan, like a 401k. This is automation in its purest form, since the money is gone before you even see your paycheck. If your company offers a match, contribute at least enough to get the full match. It's like getting an instant 100% return on your money. Beyond that, you can open a Roth IRA, an individual retirement account with tax-free growth, and set up automatic investments there too. I set up another auto transfer of $100 per paycheck from my checking account to my brokerage account, which then automatically buys a little bit of a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. It happens every 2 weeks, rain or shine. I don't check the market. I don't worry about timing it. The machine just does its job. Step 3. Embrace the Freedom Fund, the secret to making it stick. And what about bucket 3? This is the most beautiful part of the whole system. Bucket 3, the Freedom Fund, is whatever money is in your checking account after your automated bills are covered and your automated savings have been sent away. Let's use our example. Say you take home $2,000 per paycheck. Your fixed costs for that pay period are $1,000, half of your $2,000 monthly total. Your automated savings are $300, $200 to the HYSA, $100 to investments. That leaves $700 in your checking account. That $700 is your Freedom Fund. It's your money to spend completely guilt-free on anything you want. Coffee, Dinners out, movies, clothes, hobbies, go for it. You don't have to track it. You don't have to budget it. You already know your bills are handled and your future self has been taken care of. If you spend all of it, that's totally fine. You've already hit your savings goal. This is what makes the system last. Traditional budgets fail because they make you feel restricted all the time. This system does the opposite. It takes care of the responsible stuff on autopilot so you can enjoy the rest of your money with total freedom. It completely removes the anxiety from day-to-day spending. That's it. That's the entire system. One checking account for bills, automated transfers to high-yield savings and investment accounts, and the rest is yours to enjoy. It took me about 2 hours to set up, and I've barely touched it since. So I built the machine, turned it on, and then I did my best to just forget about it. The first few weeks felt weird. I had to fight the urge to constantly check my accounts and micromanage everything. I had to trust the system. But pretty soon, the automation just became background noise, like the hum of the fridge. And then, the results started to show up, and they were way more profound than I ever expected. Let's start with the hard numbers, because that's what I promised. In the first 12 months of running this system, I saved $10,540. That number still blows my mind. For someone who couldn't scrape together a few $100s, seeing a 5-figure number that I had built was a huge deal. Here's the breakdown. $4,800 went into my high-yield emergency fund. This was from that automatic $200 I sent every 2 weeks. But it wasn't just $4,800. Because I put it in a high-yield account, earning a great rate, it also generated over $100 in interest that first year, all by itself. So that account was already sitting at over $4,900. $2,400 went into my Roth IRA. This was the automated $100 every 2 weeks. That money was invested in a simple, low-cost index fund. And since the market had a decent year, it grew to about $2,650. $3,240 went into my company 401k. I was putting in 3% of my salary to get my employer's full match. So my employer kicked in another $3,240 for free. That's like getting a 100% return on my money, instantly. The total value of my savings and investments after 1 year wasn't just the $10,540 I had put away. With interest and the company match, it was closer to $13,800. All of this happened without me making a single active decision to save money. But the biggest results weren't on a bank statement. They were psychological. That constant low-grade money anxiety that had been my shadow for years, it just faded away. For the first time in my adult life, I felt in control. I wasn't necessarily richer day to day, but I was secure, and that feeling is priceless. The moment it really hit me was about 8 months in. I was driving home, and a warning light I'd never seen before flashed on my dashboard. My heart did that familiar lurch, but then something different happened. I took a deep breath and thought, okay, well, that's what the emergency fund is for. There was no panic, no dread, no mental gymnastics about which credit card to max out. I took the car to the shop, got a bill for $600, and I just paid it. I transferred the money from my high-yield savings, and that was that. The problem was just solved. A potential crisis had become a minor inconvenience. That one experience was more validating than any number in my bank account. The system also totally changed how I felt about spending. Because I knew my needs and my future were covered, the guilt I always felt about spending money on wants just vanished. When I went out with friends, I could actually enjoy myself instead of mentally calculating if I could really afford it. That Freedom Fund money was truly free, and it made my life so much more joyful. I was saving more than ever, yet I felt like I had more money to spend. It was the ultimate paradox, and it was all thanks to automation. Looking back on all this, The biggest lesson I learned is that financial success isn't about being perfect. It's about building a system that allows you to be human. It's about designing the path of least resistance to lead you toward wealth, not away from it. Here are the key things I really hope you take away from my story. First, your willpower is a limited resource. Don't waste it. Stop trying to white-knuckle your way to financial health. Instead, use a burst of energy to design a system that makes the right choices for you automatically. Second, pay yourself first is the golden rule. It's not just a nice idea, it's a literal command you give to your bank through automated transfers. Put your future self first, and let your present self have fun with what's left. And third, the goal of all this isn't just to pile up money. It's to buy back your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. It's to get rid of financial stress so you can focus on the things that actually make you happy. I know that setting this all up can feel like a lot, so I want to give you a challenge. Don't try to build the whole machine tonight. Just take one tiny automated step. Here's your challenge. Log into your online banking portal right now if you can. Set up one recurring automatic transfer from your checking to your savings account. Make it small, an amount you won't even feel. $20, $10, even $5 a week. Schedule it for the day after you get paid. That's it. Just do that one thing. You will be amazed at how that tiny, forgotten transfer starts to build up. You'll be taking the single most important step, removing yourself from the equation and letting a system do the work for you. If you had told me 2 years ago that I'd be on camera talking about how I saved over $10,000, I would have laughed you out of the room. I was the person who thought saving was for other people who were more organized, more disciplined, or just plain better with money. But I was wrong. Saving isn't a personality trait. It's a mechanical process. And when you automate that process, you can get financial results you never thought were possible, no matter how bad with money you think you are. This system gave me more than a bigger bank account. It gave me freedom from anxiety. It proved to me that with the right design, anyone can build wealth consistently and without all the stress. If this video helped you out, please give it a like. It really helps the channel grow. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your #1 savings goal for this year. An emergency fund? A down payment? That dream vacation? Let's hold each other accountable. And finally, if you want more videos on simple, powerful systems for building wealth and living a richer life, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and here's to putting your wealth on autopilot.